Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Design Review Committee on Thursday, April 16th, 2026. I now call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. Maddie, can you please take the roll call and welcome Maddie?
Thank you. Member Melissa Bates?
Present.
Member Getz?
Here.
Member Johnson?
Here.
Vice Chair Boyd?
Here.
Chair Esther Jacobson Bates?
Here. Okay, we're going to have a Pledge of Allegiance. And you know what? I've never led it, so I decided I was going to lead it tonight. So please stand as you are able. Put your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the order of the agenda as presented?
I motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Having heard a motion and a second to approve the agenda, Maddie, would you please take a roll call vote?
Member Melissa Bates?
Approve.
Member Getz?
Approve.
Member Johnson?
Approved.
Vice Chair Boyd?
Approved.
Chair Esther Jacobson Bates?
Approved. We're going to move on to consent items, and Maddie, back to you to introduce them.
Items on consent are typically routine and will be approved in one motion. The chair will call anyone wishing to address the committee on any consent item on the agenda which has not been pulled by the committee for discussion. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once, and comments will be limited to a total of 3 minutes.
Okay, so we're going to start with in-person public comments first. I don't see anyone in the room, and I don't see anyone on Zoom. Committee members, do you have any items that you would like to pull? Okay, I actually would like to pull item 2A. Well, I think it's actually, is it 2A and B, the current projects? Could you clarify that for me, Lisa? Is that A and B? Current project list?
So it should be 2B is the April 2026 current project.
Okay, I'd like to pull item 2B, just to have a little more discussion. And I do have a motion to approve the consent agenda items A, C, and D.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and roll call vote, I guess.
Member Melissa Bates?
Approve.
Member Getz?
Approved.
Member Johnson?
Approved.
Vice Chair Boyd?
Approved.
Chair Esther Jacobson Bates?
Approved. So then we move to item 2B, the April 2026 current projects list. We haven't met in several months, and there's not any red flags that I'm seeing here. I just thought this would be an opportunity, Raphael, for you to give us a little bit of an update, and maybe we could hear about the current projects. I think that, too, there was a bit of confusion as we had the January list here as well as the April, but today we're just looking at the April, and there's lots of things that have dropped off since January.
Yeah, that is definitely, and dropping off is good and bad, depends on what it is. So we'll start with the projects under construction. Do we want to go line by line, or how do you want to do this? Do you have any specific questions?
Why don't you just kind of hit what you consider to be the highlights
Sure.
of that, and that's the green band on the...
No problem. So let's start with 425th Street. That's our 5-unit multifamily development with one ADU located at the corner of Oak and 5th. As many of you know, there's not been much progress made in over a year on that project. It was delayed due to the requirement to underground and or raise the utility lines by PG&E. That work has actually been completed. We did a project re-kickoff meeting on Friday, extremely positive, and we're actually having another meeting on Tuesday because there is one sort of segment that you see along 5th Street of lines. Those aren't electrical lines, they're actually communication lines. And so we are working with Frontier and Comcast to work with the applicant to underground those, but they do have now the green light to re-begin construction. So they are trying to reorganize, and they have assessed what items need to get fixed in the building, repaper. So they are hoping to get started ASAP, but we are having one last meeting in regards to infrastructure there.
That's good news, so that
Yeah.
they're ready to move forward as soon as they can organize their subcontractors, it sounds like.
That is correct. So once that organization's done and they figure out a game plan, and particularly with the undergrounding of those last utilities, because there's actually a couple things at play, and we're really getting the sausage here. Frontier is actually doing an undergrounding project in the same neighborhood during the summer. So we're trying to do them all, intermix, and make sure they hit them all once and one time only. Again, the applicant is not from here, so has not dealt with PG&E before, has a life lesson now, but they are working through that. 1745 Mission Drive, they have were approved for a third. Are we on third or fourth revision, Maddie? I want to say, or fourth. On the fourth revision to the senior center. This one actually put back in things that were originally proposed, and they have money now to do that, so they went ahead and revised plans. Those were approved. Those are out of our hands. We are looking at a civil set looking to approve that as quickly as we can, and construction's now just humming along there. Bella Vista, it's a 3-lot subdivision that's currently also under construction. There was inspections made today for the foundation, so it's moving along. Unfortunately, there's been no progress made on 1704 Mission Drive. Stop work is still issued. We have been a lawsuit has been filed by the applicant. We are working with the applicant and their attorney to come to a resolution. But at this point, there is a hearing scheduled for the end of the month in the courts in regards to that lawsuit. For the other most part, 2002 High Meadow Road, that's a single-family residential unit that's also under construction. Solvang Brew is also near the finish line at 1547 Mission, so we're really looking forward to that. Things are going slowly but surely over at 1693 Mission Drive for the new ice cream parlor. And then a new house is being built on 538 Pine Street. So that's sort of currently wrapping up what's under construction from a bigger standpoint. Do we want to go over what's under review?
Let's see, and that is anybody here want to hear about what's under review? I don't think that, unless there's something that you can highlight that really impacts us here. I see a couple projects.
Yeah, I'll highlight a couple of them. 423 Second, that's probably one of the more visible ones. That's sitting next to us. Again, that's been out for corrections for almost a year now. The reality there is the applicant came back with a very high cost estimate, so they're looking to retool that. They are actually in discussion with us on that project, just again to revise the scope. 409 First Street, that has been...
Raphael?
Yeah.
Sorry, can we just back up
Yeah.
to 423 Second Street? They're looking at a mixed use for that?
Correct.
Oh, and then putting commercial in the front and
Yep.
residential in back?
Yeah, so they actually designed it, so they're redesigning it so that per our new code, they have to do commercial in the front, so that's what they're doing, and then 2 residential units in the back. So, but again, some of the proposed design changes to make that all work came in at too high of a cost, so they're back to the drawing board a little bit to
That's the
reduce
old
those costs.
Valley News office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
409 First Street, that was purchased by a group out of Santa Barbara, and it says application approved. Did we issue it? It's issued, yeah. Maddie's our permit tech, for those that don't know, moonlighting as our clerk tonight. And so we did issue that. That's to renovate the old restaurant space that is now being taken off, unfortunately, to new hotel spaces. But the entire hotel is being renovated as well. And they are adding rooms. And so to accommodate the parking, they're adding car lifts. And so
Oh, interesting.
I
This
know.
is the Mirabelle.
yeah, this is the Maribel Inn.
Yeah.
So they're adding 3 car lifts. So those basically the way these work is they will drop down when you need the car, and then you roll your car in, and they go up, and that's it. It's pretty simplistic. Other larger cities implement them, so it was pretty cool that they met their parking requirements. That's the other thing too. This was originally underparked. Now it's parked exactly what it needed to be, and that's us working with the applicant to get that completed. 1697 Copenhagen Drive, that is in application review. Actually, that's now out of review. It's out for corrections. So that's a conversion of the office space that was above Rossman space into residential units. So that was approved by the Planning Commission. The applicant made quick work of turning that into us. And then 1687 Mission Drive, that is something that this body had seen. It is also out for corrections to finish off the brickwork and facade work. So the applicant there, again, turned that around quite quickly. Another big one is 1687 Mission Drive for 1,800 square foot tenant improvement for a tea shop and biscuit. That's out for correction, so that is brand new. What's not on here is Garoppolo, which also made quick work of our process. They're looking to expand their entire dining space. So, it's pretty awesome. Lisa approved it from planning's end, but we have some corrections from building and utilities. So they're working through that. And again, there's a new state law that requires us to get those out within 60 days. We are cooking at under about 15 business days to get those back to the applicant.
Great.
So,
And nothing for design review?
no,
on that
it's
project?
all interior. So again, they're just staying within their footprint. But it's when a business wants to expand, it's always a great thing. And so that's I'm surprised that's not on this list, which it should be there. So that kind of wraps up, and then obviously there are smaller things like ADU amnesties that's going on, and other sort of new residential units. From the Improved Entitlements Division, the Samsung Clinic, that was approved for a 1-year time extension by the Planning Commission. The Luca Market Deli is still out there, as well as 1687 exterior facade changes. That's in building permit. So once the building permit's issued and construction starts, that then drops off, and it's locked in. The Cottage Hospital was recently approved. That was at the last Planning Commission. And then also I see the conversion of the second floor offices also. So those two are done. And then flipping over into the sort of what we're working on in process, Wildwood, still on hold. The applicant is working with the neighboring residents to come to a private resolution. And so when that happens, they'll get a green light, and potentially project revisions may occur as well. Lisa's working with the folks at the Alisal Cellars to do a nightclub, CUP. We met with them on site down at the basement. Meeting went very, very well. We're waiting for them to come back in very quickly. No exterior improvements there, so it goes right to Planning Commission. There's a First Street condo conversion that's out. We're waiting to hear back from them. Something that this board will hear hopefully next month is the Alisal Events Barn. That's currently in plan review. And so Lisa is fast tracking that to get to the DRC hopefully next month. We're looking about 90% to pretty much 95% certain that'll be on next month's agenda. There is sort of environmental work to be done as well. However, we wanted to bring this to the body first and have you comment and do everything else that needs to get done. 45 Alisal, that is Frederick Square adaptive reuse. I was actually, prior to this meeting, just on the phone with the fire chief here, and they're looking to approve that. So that's looking to be deemed complete and go to Planning Commission in June. So no exterior changes on that except for windows that meet our design standards. So that goes also straight to Planning Commission. The other large one is the 88 units on Alisal and Juniper. That came in at the beginning of the month. That is an SB 330 preliminary application, not to be confused with the builder's remedy. So all departments are looking at that. I did have a discussion with the applicant's representative this afternoon, giving them an option to present to the DRC at the May meeting to go over that concept plan and receive comments from the DRC. And I highly encourage that they did it. So
Great.
that is, hopefully that will be on your agenda next month. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, that we are extremely busy. Yeah. And
Busy.
yeah. So there's always, well, we're not meeting at the DRC. We've canceled all these meetings. Well, yeah, because a lot of the stuff, it's an ebb and flow. So a lot of the stuff that you've already seen, guess what? It's stuff that we're reviewing already to get plans out and approved. And then the next batch of entitlements are beginning to bubble through. So you're beginning to see the changes of our zoning code in place now. Stuff like the Maribel with the car lifts, Garoppolo, those expansions, those TIs, we're making it easier for businesses to open up and expand and do those things at a quick pace. And then if projects like the Alisal barn, where we know that we're working with other departments such as Public Works and Utilities to work things out, but the design is already in, we're just going to come right to you. And so we can continue to have them move along in the process. So a lot of work has been done. So we're
Yeah.
busy.
I'm curious to learn too more about the 88 units down at Alisal and Juniper. That's in that kind of, what is it, a triangle, a rectangle, or something between Alisal and Alisal Glen?
Yeah, it was referred to as Site D in the housing element. So it's that portion that the Alisal Ranch Jacksons owned. They still own, actually. So again, this is a pre-application. I know SB 330 is used as the builder's remedy, but there's actually another massive section that talks about pre-application review and entitlement, and that's what they're utilizing. And really, what this means is that we as a city have to review, we have to give them a complete set of comments in terms of infrastructure planning, and it actually freezes their development standards and their fees into based on the application date. And that's why it's important for them, because it sort of vests that application so they understand what rules they're playing with from here on out versus us potentially changing the code and changing heights or whatever. So it vests them into what our rules are today.
And I think we're going to need your assistance in helping us understand our scope of review and our limitations that are created by SB.
Yes, myself and Taylor, who's on vacation this evening, we will definitely guide the DRC to how to provide comments or what you can and can't do. Unfortunately, lay out that playing field for you. So.
And the sooner that we can have that information, that would be awesome, even if that's something that is preliminary, not even specific to that project, but just giving us education, because I have a feeling we're going to have a learning curve on this project.
Yeah, and so again, for residential projects, just the rules are, it has to be objective, very similar to signs, but it's 100% objective. You can always ask for something to be changed, but unless it's an objective change,
Can't require it.
But
we can make recommendations.
100%.
All that we want.
100%, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for the update. I appreciate you taking a moment to do that, and I really valued that. And it's I don't know if that some of our new people have ever heard in detail on that. So thank you. So I think now it's time to move on to public communications non-agenda. I don't see anybody in the room, and I don't see anybody on Zoom. No, nobody with their hands up. So we'll go ahead and close public comment and then move on to our discussion item 4A. And staff, please introduce that now.
Discussion and possible action for a sign permit for 2 wall signs and a sign exception request located at 475 First Street, number 5, APN 139181013. The proposed project is categorically exempt from CEQA.
Right, and I'll get the PowerPoint pulled up. All right. Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. We are reviewing a request for a sign permit and exception for a retail tenant space located in the courtyard at 475 First Street. The applicant is proposing 2 wall signs totaling 13.1 square feet. Both signs are wood carved and hand painted and are located just above and adjacent to the primary entrance. The proposal complies with all applicable sign standards. The applicant is requesting an exception to go beyond the 6-inch projection limit for wall signs. The municipal code requires wall signs to stay within 6 inches of the building, so this request is specifically to exceed that standard. In this case, the tenant space is tucked back in a rear courtyard, so it's not very visible from the street. On top of that, the way the building is designed really limits the amount of usable wall space for signage. Because of those constraints, the applicant is asking for a little more projection to help make the business more visible. For the committee to approve the exception, at least one of these findings must be made. In this case, staff believes the unusual building location and limited visibility support the required findings. And the project is categorically exempt from CEQA under Section 15301 as it involves minor alterations to an existing structure with no expansion of use. That concludes my presentation. The applicant is here tonight if you have questions, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
So we're going to start with committee here. Any questions of staff? So my question was how much I would love to see in the future, like it exceeds that projection amount, but exceeds it by how much? And I went and looked, so I think it's about a 10-inch projection.
Okay, we
It
can
looks
have that
like.
next time.
But just in the future, it would be helpful to have that in the report. Anybody have any specific questions? Well, then we're going to open it up to public comment. Anybody in the room that would wish to speak on this, invite you up now. And I need to disclose that I went and looked at the location, and I met Shauna, who's going to speak, and we didn't talk about, what decisions would be made, but rather the location that had been shown in the packet and alternatives potentially. So,
Hi, my name is Shauna Stargell. I am hoping to get this sign permit cleared so I can get that on the building. I was going to mention that it is 10 inches instead of the 6. I'm not sure what else I might say.
and we can have some interactions here, am I correct, Raphael? Yeah. So my concern with the project wasn't the extension being more than 6 inches, because it makes sense in that location. And you have that wrought iron bracket that, is kind of that handcrafted look that we like to see in Solvang, sitting up here in the DRC. My concern was that the second sign was going to cover the window.
Yeah.
And I believe that there were alternatives that were possible that you had mentioned. So could you speak to that?
Yes, in looking at the bracket that the sign is mounted on the front door and hearing the concerns about the distance in the window covering, I was wondering if it's not a can of worms to use a similar bracket on that window to raise it above the windows, or is that a can of worms? I mean, so is it possible, instead of having it hanging, which we had proposed originally, could we do this very similar mounted bracket like that's in the front door? Can we do that on the side?
It would be a similar exception if it's going to exceed the
Yes.
6 inches.
And
So I
Sean,
think-
is this your window?
Yes.
Okay. So
I
it'd be
think
just
that makes a
blocking
lot
It would be-
whatever's in
Yeah.
your window,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the proposal then would be to lift it up, so she has that window view, but to lift it up.
Right, and utilize a bracket that is a newly fabricated bracket that mimics the look of the existing bracket, and then they would both be at the same
Same level,
height.
eye level.
Yeah, well, and, at the same, above eye level.
Correct.
Actually, but sit at the same level and same kind of hardware, and not cover the window.
That's a great
Pull it
idea.
up on the PowerPoint, the picture of it?
Yes, that would be good, but I didn't see one that had the brackets. Because that's covered by the sign.
They're covered by the signs, but you can see the location. of
Right.
The window one.
Yeah.
So it would move that, on the right, the one that's covering the window, it would elevate it and have it look similar to the one above the door, which really needs to be extended because of that roof line.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
can't do it any other way.
Yes.
So I don't know if there are thoughts on the committee about that.
This particular location, I know where the courtyard is. I'm trying to figure out where,
Next to Chiffon.
okay,
So Chiffon's now only occupying the left, and the right, where they used to have a little more boutique, is now her
right there,
section.
your
Yeah.
section.
Yeah.
And where the bikes are, the little traveling bikes, if you're outside that gate, is that what I'm looking at, is like your building, right, with your sign?
Yeah, if-
Yes.
Yeah, if you're facing that side window.
Correct.
If you turn to the right, that's the bicycle.
Right.
And they have a storage door or something.
Yes.
So there's not a traffic.
If
going-
someone's looking in through that gate,
Yeah.
Yeah,
walking
from the
by, looking in,
alley.
can we still see your sign?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect, because that would be important,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and that's.
Right?
That's the goal, because, yeah, you want to see
Correct.
from the park, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to
Well-
make sure.
And I think, too, having been on the site and looked at it,
Yes,
and it being a kind of a little bit dark just because of its orientation.
Yes.
I would think that it would be more desirable from the inside as well to
Yeah.
not have the window covered
oh,
with the sign.
absolutely.
So, and as a general rule, the exception to utilize a bracket and lift it up a little bit seems like a much better compromise than an exception that allows a sign covering a window.
Correct.
So either way, there's a bit of an exception going on there.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
any other comments from you?
I think that was what I was concerned about.
Well, I think that's great, and unless you have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and close public comments, and we'll move on to decisions,
Thank
and we
you.
can reopen if something comes up. So we'll close comments on, public comments on item 4A. There's nobody on Zoom either. And staff, committee, any further discussion?
No, I think it makes sense to move both signs up, or to move the one sign up to match the one over the door.
Okay, so should we have a motion to that effect, and want to craft that motion so that it's clear for both applicant and staff?
And include that you're going to be, if you are approving the exception, that you're approving that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, the language needs to be extremely specific in terms of the bracket, and I would suggest that if the projection is going to be 10-inch max, maybe give them a little wiggle room, but at least quantify the exception space, so that way we can ensure that it's consistent with what the direction the committee is
Yeah,
looking for.
and I think that the projection may even be less. It may be able to be in 6 inches, but I would suggest allowing a projection of a maximum of 10 inches, which is the same as the sign over the door, and that the scale and materials of the sign stay consistent, that the new bracket be fabricated to be the same style and match the existing bracket there. And perhaps you might even want to, and this is just a suggestion, to kind of renew that bracket or kind of shine it up a little bit, because it is kind of a cool piece of metal work there to make them match.
But then it wouldn't be vintage.
Yeah, but trying to make
Don't
them
shine it too much.
complement each other. So I guess I'm making a motion. So can we make this motion so that it's clear? Can you help us craft this motion?
So are you allowing a proposed new bracket then to be installed in lieu of where the applicant's proposed site plan is I just want to be extremely clear because the applicant did mention that they don't want to open a can of worms, to which they're not, but installation of a new bracket will require a building permit,
Okay.
which isn't, it's not too onerous. This would be something probably over the counter, and we would probably do a pretty minimal charge on that. We would just need to know the bracket size, weight, and how it's going to be affixed to the building.
So perhaps this is an opportunity to reopen public comments to continue our dialogue with the applicant on this matter. Would that be appropriate?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so let's reopen public comment on item 4A. And welcome Shauna back.
Hi, I'm Shauna. So what I'm hearing is to get a bracket similar to the one that's existing there, the same if it's available.
Yeah.
The 6 to 10 inches, try and keep it. I think the gutter is what makes
Yeah.
Yeah.
where it's that way, but and then to get that bracket and show you the size, the weight, or have it written down, and then come get a permit so I can put the 2 screws in?
Well,
Is that what it is?
It needs to be written down. It can't show. It's a function of the California Building Code, and I hate to get technical on you, or on this committee, we need to ensure that the bracket supports the weight of the sign so that in the event of a earthquake or other type of event with oscillation, that the sign doesn't fall and kill somebody.
Sure.
We don't want a windy day to knock the sign down on a visiting member of the
100%.
public.
And it would just be a building permit straight across the street. You don't have to come back to the committee.
Okay. But there's a fee for that as well?
Yes, there's unfortunately a fee for that.
Is there going to be not a waiting period? I mean, I could,
We can discuss that my suggestion is to discuss that after the meeting, but yeah, because
We would, as part of it, would direct staff to expedite it to the best of their capabilities
That would be
for
great.
over the counter.
Is this not the same size sign as the one on the door?
I'm not sure. I think they are the same, the style and the size.
It's
A little
I
bit
think
different
they're 6.3 and 6.8
Okay.
square feet.
Because there's, I guess, more window frontage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's
Right.
going to be really pretty to see all your goods in the window.
Yes,
I'm looking
I
forward
agree.
to it.
Yeah.
Thank
Because
you.
if you're any indication, I saw you walking in, I'm like, she's a Ralph Lauren model.
Oh.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Come to the store.
Yeah,
I
we
will.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming back up. So once again, we'll go ahead and close public comment on item 4A and come back to the committee.
so the motion should be that in lieu of the placement of the sign on the window, that the DRC directs staff to permit a bracket to be placed above the window so that the sign may be placed above them with a projection not to exceed 10 inches and ensure that a building permit is submitted and approved.
And that the bracket be fabricated so that it is of the same style as the existing bracket.
Yes, if you want to add that condition, then yes.
Yes. So maybe somebody else would, well, I guess I had a motion on the floor. So that is my motion. Thank you, Raphael. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Maddie, roll call vote, please.
Member Melissa Bates,
Approve.
Member Getz,
Approved.
Member Johnson,
Approved.
Vice Chair Boyd,
Approved.
Chair Esther Jacobson Bates.
Approved. And thank you for being here to have that discussion and with that suggestion. Looking forward to visiting your store again. Okay, so now we're going to move on to committee member comments. Anybody have comments for staff? Well, I think my comment would be to welcome Maddie Bromson. Did I get that right? Bramson. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's the Dane in me. So welcome, Maddie Bramson, and we look forward to having you here. And Lisa, we will miss you, but you're going to be around a bit longer before we miss you. So, yeah, and congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
When's your due date?
July 10th.
So all good news. Then we'll go ahead and move on to city staff comments.
Thank you. We went over a lot of stuff at the consent item. Again, we are planning to have a May meeting with the Alisal Ranch, and then hopefully we can convince the applicants to bring the Alisal Glen Apartments for you to review. Aside from that, we don't have anything else on the docket as far as sign applications or anything to that matter. So June is looking rather light, and it is my expectation that the June meeting will likely be canceled. If it's not on, then it will be the Lisa and Maddie show, since I will not be available for that.
And I'll be unavailable in June as well.
Yeah, I believe we had this discussion
Yeah.
before. So I will be, let's see here. What day is that supposed to be? The June 18th. So yeah, I'm going to be in Paris that day. So yeah, all right. So
Okay, well, rub it in.
making my way to the Netherlands. So and then again, so we do have other things. The hope is on other front is our signed ordinance. This is on me. I've had a lot of things on the plate lately. So it has come back with comments and some red line edits from our legal team. However, I do want to get a sign handbook out. So I'm going to try to work really hard to see if I can get at least a preliminary to you guys in May as well. But it is hope to get that in front of the Planning Commission in June. A lot of the edits that you have provided and comments carried over to the City Council. The City Council has blessed most of it. So now it's just trying to put some nice graphics in an easy to utilized handout for business owners to hopefully use the sign handout to guide them to better sign outcomes. So.
If that is going to be included in our May packet, again, the sooner we can get something like that, the better, because it's an intense overview. And congratulations on getting that moving along. This has been a huge project. I don't know, 10 years since we started the discussion about the need for this. So it's a big project.
And then the last item is an update on the design handbook. That has actually also been in my wheelhouse, unfortunately, blockading in my head. That will, internal comments will go back out for fixes, and we are hoping to bring that back to you guys in summer. And so get that moving along as well. So just a lot of things have sort of hit this blockade, and there's only so much time that we have. And it's based on that last list, there are other priorities that have taken place, simply trying to get things moving. So with that concludes my update.
All right, well, I think that concludes our meeting. We'll see you in May, and I'll adjourn the meeting.
We have another sign, right? The
don't we have
Solvang
another
trolley sign?
That was on the consent. Yeah,
So what's the point then of bringing it out for us to talk about?
because you can pull it from the consent for more discussion.
Oh, well, I have a question about it.
I would suggest that
I don't think we can,
we could go back and discuss it again.
yeah, we can discuss it now that it's approved. We
Great.
can discuss it
let's-
off the record,
Let's
yeah.
move off the record.
Yeah, so,
I would suggest to conclude the meeting and have a discussion.
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah. So at that, I will conclude the meeting at 5:37.